what do you do when something happens and things go wrong on board the ship? Like, how do you get to the doctor? How do you get to the dentist? How do you handle situations that come up? So, if you go into the merchant mariner field, you are expected to be fit for full duty when you get assigned to a ship. That means that you don't have any impending health issues that you foresee on the near future. So if you got high blood sugar or whatever, if you're dealing with certain medications that you take, or if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure, you have all your medications with you and whatnot. And when you first check aboard a ship, first thing you do is on your check-in list is you go to your medical service officer or to the captain or the chief mate, whoever's the medical service officer on board your boat, provides health assistance is what I'm going to call it. So when you check aboard, if you're taking medications, they're going to document down all your medications, ask you, simple questionnaire, or how you feeling? Is everything good? You ready to go to work? Because if you check aboard a ship and you got health issues, they're going to put you right off the boat. Because there's an old saying in the fleet, you can die, but you can't die here. Because nobody wants the liability on the company or military sea lift command. So everybody's going to have health issues eventually in your life. And there is a lot of older guys that are out there sailing. So they're always very proactive on what are your health concerns or issues. So if you have something, we know about it. So if I have to give you some kind of medication or something to help you to deal with you with a trauma or event, we want to make sure it doesn't counter-react with something you're already taking. So those are kind of the first step of when you get there. Because when you're on board ship, if somebody gets injured or hurt, it could be a couple hours to get you off the ship, or it could be days or even a week to get you to somewhere that can actually treat you. And if you're having serious health issues like an appendix exploding or something like that, hopefully the Navy's nearby and a Navy hospital could triage and help you out. But if you're on a military Sea Lift Command ship going solo across the Pacific or operating in remote areas or with SIU, there might not be any medical assistance for you whatsoever. And bad things could happen. So it's always important that you're feeling good and fit for full duty whenever you go out to a ship. Now, I got this question yesterday, and it's kind of an obscure question in a way, because Dito773 says, could you make a video about the hazards aboard ship, asbestos, and other contaminants on board ship? And, asbestos, when it started, that was not a health issue, because nobody knew the health concerns of it. I have been aboard ships for over 30 years of my life, and when you're aboard ship, there's things that you find out that certain paints that we thought were safe, later on found out, had red lead, it could cause cancer, or AFFF, or asbestos, things like that were on old ships that we don't use the product anymore. The products have been changed up to ensure, or hopefully ensure, that there's no health concerns with those products. And there's no guarantees, there's what was fine to use 30 years ago. Later on, we find out, that wasn't good for you. And that's life. As far as I know, I've never been on an MSC ship that's had asbestos on it or any issues like that. Most of the ships I've been on were built in the late 80s or after, for the most part, with military Sea Lift Command. Now, when it gets to SIU, there's a lot of older boats out there, but I'm sure because of just environmental requirements, those ships, when they go through the maintenance periods, they've ripped all those asbestos and contaminants, all that kind of stuff out. So I don't feel like that is a big deal. But one of your other questions was, what are some of the common injuries or health concerns on board ship? So common injuries, mainly it's just not wearing personal protective equipment. People get paint flakes in their eyes. Maybe they're out working, or you're working on a piece of equipment and all the debris is falling down, but a big gust of wind comes and blows all that dust back up into your eyes. certain things like that. So even if you're wearing glasses or whatever, things can get in your eyes. Not wearing hearing protection if you're going into places or working with needle guns and certain things like that. You should be wearing double hearing protection when you're in loud environments. And a lot of times, I mean, especially when you're young, you think you're invincible and you're like, I go to rock concerts all the time or whatever. And you're like, I'm used to loud music. Yes, but you are permanently damaging your hearing when you're not wearing that double hearing protection. So honestly, I think those are the most common things. You're just not wearing eye protection, hearing protection when you need to. Everyday evolution. So there's really two times that I think are dangerous on board ship. And some people you're really resolute in your vigilance during certain evolutions, like during unreps. We got safety officers, people that are watching just for your safety. So during special evolutions, that's tying up the ship, doing underway replenishments, doing flight deck operations, small boat operations. Those are the big ones, you know. Also, just coming and going from the ship, going up and down the ACOM ladder or the ship's ladder. Sometimes you'll pull into ports and the ship will be anchored out. So we'll have a ladder that they put down, a rope ladder, and you got to climb up the rope ladder. And some people are a little bit big. And getting up a rope ladder, they've never gone up a rope ladder like that before. So they're a little nervous, they're scared of heights or whatever. There's usually a safety officer that's there, and they try to put in additional safety measures, wearing life jackets whenever you're doing boarding and disboarding of boats and whatnot. So if you did go over the side, you'd fall in the water. And those aren't common situations that happen, but there's usually people that are there as a safety officer. Even when like Liberty boats are coming back and forth, taking people from the ship to the shore and back and forth, the deck officer is always typically down there when the boats arrive, because the captain wants to make sure there's somebody there that can handle a situation if somebody was to fall or slip. And that's the everyday events, you know, just slips, trips, and falls. Just the floor, the deck was wet. You didn't realize you came around the corner. You slip and you fall down. Or you are walking on deck, and on the deck of a ship, it is a working vessel. There are chocks, there are cleats, there are things around, and people just aren't paying attention. They catch their foot or trip or bang their knee or something, not noticing where they're going because they're talking to somebody or just looking the other way. And they end up tripping and falling. Or people fall down ladders every once in a while. And those are the everyday dangers. It's just you're in your common environment and you're not paying attention, and things like that happen. Other common injuries, back injuries. If you're trying to lift something, not lifting with your legs, but lifting with your back. In the engineering room, you know, you might get your fingers pinched. People are working with gear and equipment. Sometimes they're not wearing gloves, or they are wearing gloves. The glove gets caught in the gear, sucks their hand in, and they get their fingers pinched or injured, you know. So just common sense things like that, where you're like, you got to be careful. Like in the kitchen, working with knives, or out on deck working with knives. You have to be careful when you're working with sharp instruments and tools, right? Those are the everyday things. As far as like serious things that I worry about is when people are new, making sure that they have their head on a swivel and make sure that everybody's taken care of. Not just yourself. You have to care about yourself first, but you got to take care of your shipmates too. But kind of getting back to the question of, you know, how does the healthcare work for medical and dental when you're ashore? So when you pull into certain ports, like the medical service officer, he is tracking everybody's, and this is on bigger ships, okay? Especially with military SEALIC Command. You have a medical service officer on board for a cruise over a certain size. And that medical service officer is like tracking when everybody's medical immunizations are expiring and things like that. Because sometimes people will be on a ship for a long time. Typically, everybody's expected that you're going to do your 120 days. Then you go home, you take your vacation. You should be going, for your checkups and everything else on your time. And you can use your sick leave and whatnot with MSC to do that too when you're there. But you should be doing all your appointments and making sure that when you check back into the pool, you're fit for full duty. You're ready to go for another 120-day voyage. But with that, they want to make sure that every once in a while, people have been on the ship for a while, so you need checkups. Maybe you need more medication. Maybe you need more of this. So you'll talk to the medical service officer, and he'll try to arrange things and help you out in foreign countries to maybe get you off the ship to go do a doctor's appointment or go do certain things that you have to do. But for the most part, you should be set and ready to go for that whole 120 days plus. And every time the ship's going on deployment, they'll tell everybody, hey, we're planning on being gone for like 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. If you're going to stay for the full Monty, make sure you have everything you need. So, and typically, if you have medications and whatnot, you could talk to your doctor. Like some doctors, depends on the medications, they won't give you more than 30 days or 60 days worth. Sometimes you got to talk to them and say, look, I'm a mariner. I need to work on ship. I need you to give me more medication than the normal. And hopefully your doctor understands, and they can work with Military Sea Lift Command to say, yeah, you're going to need that as well. So just certain things that kind of go on there. The medical service officers, we call them kitty patches, seasickness pills. If you're a young lady, you're having cramps, or a guy, you're having migraines, you need to get some Midol or some Motrin or whatever. The medical service officer does his daily sick call, and mainly what he's looking for is to help anybody that has the little things that he can help handle. But mainly he's there to do triage and make sure that everybody on the ship is healthy. And if somebody comes down with something, and it's contagious, let's see if we can put him in his room for a little while, or certain things along those lines. So, but, the world's changed over the years, and what we thought was safe yesterday, today is not so safe. But over the years, I've worked with red lead paint. I've worked with AFFF, which now they're saying, oh, that could be hazardous. There's all different types of concrete product, things that I've worked with over the years, which I've always kind of thought about personal protective equipment when I work with that stuff. And you guys need to think about it too, because honestly, nobody cares about your health more than you. The company's going to make sure that they're following OSHA, occupational safety and health requirements. But the everyday, are you actually wearing double hearing protection? Are you wearing safety toe boots all the time? There's times when people don't follow those procedures, and they're risking their own health. And nobody cares about you as much as you do. So hopefully you guys get some value out of this. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll hit you on the next one. Peace.